How's it going, people? Welcome back to AFTV and welcome back to Box to Box. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Chris down in London in time for the game this weekend, but we have got him here live stream with you guys, with us to do Box to Box. It's been a little while. International break has taken over the last couple of weeks, so I haven't got the chance to talk to the opposition fan. I do enjoy doing it for a unbiased perspective on Arsenal and also to get a feeling of what's around the corner in terms of Norwich City this weekend. Chris, lovely to have you on. Thank you for giving us some of your time. How's it going over your end?
It's a pleasure, and much like Arsenal fans, Turkish, we were probably quite grateful for the international break. We needed a bit of a rest after our very, very hard start. Liverpool at home on the first day, Man City away, Champions League chasing Leicester after that. And now, of course, it's you guys. So we needed the breather, just like Arsenal. But I think there's an air of optimism going into this game from the Norwich fans. So it'll be a super one. And we're all absolutely buzzing for it in the Yellow Army.
Yeah, well, might as well just head straight into it. Before we do, obviously, you're from Talk Norwich City. I do want to get that out there. The link to your channel will be in the description below. So everyone who enjoys the stream and wants to see more content from Chris and the guys over there, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And yeah, Chris, when I logged on, you were smiling. You said there's an air of optimism around Norwich City now. What is it that's brought upon those events? Because the start of the season hasn't been kind to not only you, but us in general.
I just wanted to say, Turkish, actually, before I answer that question, if you want to see a genuine relegation battle, do subscribe to Talk Norwich City. It's not, let's be frank, come on, it's not going to be a relegation battle for Arsenal. But no, I appreciate the love on that. Thank you very much. Look, Turkish, the optimism comes from very much the fact that we've kept our head coach. We've stuck to our philosophy. We know, the fans know and understand that we've had a tough start. We've spent the most money we've ever spent in a single transfer window in the history of our football club, albeit just 50 million, which was the price tag of Ben White for you boys. But we've signed some really exciting talent. Christos Jolis out on the wing, Mila Rashica from the Bundesliga, Ozan Kabak, who of course was hanging around at Liverpool last season, just to name a few, Matthias Norman. Anyway, so we've bolstered our squad massively. And what we've done, Turkish, is we signed players that are more defensively minded. Last time, honestly, I do think we were a little naive. We tried to play this pretty possession-based football, but we didn't quite have the quality. And actually, the only team that I can liken this to is Leeds. Leeds came up, but because they had that extra additional quality, because of course they have more money to spend, that they played our style of football. But really, we were the trailblazers for that in the Premier League as a newly promoted side. So this is a new, upgraded Norwich City that you'll be coming up against this season, and it's a game that Daniel Farke will be targeting. And it's with no disrespect to Arsenal, but this is the best chance we're ever going to get to beat you at your gaff. Like, it's barely ever happened. All of the stats against us. I know it's still a David versus Goliath situation when you're coming up against a newly promoted side at the Emirates. But look, I think Norwich can do some damage, particularly if we score the first goal. I said it with Robbie on our opposition preview. I honestly don't think Arsenal have got the bottle to come back from a goal behind. I really don't. So I'm confident that if Norwich can get that first goal, I think we might nick it.
There was a statistic going around recently, and football is a world of statistics now, but it was something like when Arsenal go into half-time, a goal down, we never come back and win it. You might have jinxed it this week.
I thought you were going to share the other stat, which is something like Norwich haven't ever beaten Arsenal ever in the last 25 years or whatever it was, or Norwich haven't won. I think it was Norwich haven't won in London for 25 years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I saw that one.
It's ridiculous. So all of the stats aren't in our favour. But you know what? I think it will help us. I think there's an expectancy on Arsenal from your fans, from your manager, from your players. And I don't think complacency creeps into it, Turkish. I really don't. But I do think it will give an extra pressure. And I think it will mean that the game will be really cagey, which ultimately will play into Norwich's favour.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple seasons ago when Norwich were in the league initially, and your approach to it, and in essence, kind of being the trailblazers and going out, not all out attack, but a heavy emphasis on the attacking side. I remember Pukki starting the season well, Todd Cantwell, who I believe is an Arsenal fan, he had a good season. Emi Buendia, who I would have loved at Arsenal Football Club, I remember him having a strong season. Are you more optimistic about this one now, considering how you've shaped the team in a sense, in the signings you've made, the defensive reinforcements? Are you more optimistic about this one, or is it hard to say, considering a couple seasons ago you probably was, riding high as well with those players going into the season?
Well, look, it's so early to judge. It's so early to judge. As I said, Liverpool, Man City, Leicester, Arsenal, it's so early to judge. But what I would say, again, is that we are stronger defensively, which sounds a bit weird because we got spanked 5-0 by Man City. We got, fairly and quite easily, comfortably beaten by Liverpool at home. It was a tighter game against Leicester, and we should have at least got a point, but I believe a win out of that game. So, yeah, I am more optimistic about the way we are. And, a lot of people will say, well, you've lost Emi Buendia, your best player, your most creative player. But I quite like the fact that we've changed our system now. I like the fact that we don't just rely on one player to feed Teemu Pukki. I like the fact that we've got a plan B, a Premier League plan B from the bench, not just championship players and that championship quality. We've got some quality to come off the bench now that can cause any team damage. We should have definitely beaten Leicester in the last game. We had a couple of absolute sitters.
Yeah.
And so, I'm feeling pumped for the season. I think we could be a surprise package in the Premier League, and I wouldn't look, write Norwich off at your peril. The one that will always stay in people's memories, Turkish, is that famous win versus Man City last time we were in the Premier League. We had 9 injured players, and we beat them with basically our second string championship squad. Yeah. Look, don't write Norwich off. We will go for it. We'll play our football, and I'm proud of that. And there'll be games where we get thrashed, but there'll be games where we beat teams comfortably, and I'm looking forward to that happening. And hopefully it's this weekend.
You're worrying me, Chris, because I've got a show on my channel called The Big Six Show, and we've just done our season predictions in terms of champions, top 6, relegation, and so on. And every one of us has actually put Norwich in the free for relegation.
Yeah.
Can you understand the outside look? And do you prefer do you prefer being looked at as the underdogs? And
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty lazy assumption and very much a cheap shot. We're in the top 10 spenders in the Premier League this season, as I say, 50 million spent. We've signed some really good quality players, and people have already come to the assumption, all over social media, and you've seen it. Norwich coupled with Arsenal in memes kicking us out into the championship and stuff, which obviously isn't going to happen. But I understand why people have come to that assumption. But I think it's lazy based on previous seasons. If you actually look at the quality that we've got, and not just signed Turkish, the players that we've kept, Max Aarons, who by the way was possibly going to Arsenal.
I would have taken him. Yeah.
Tim Krul, a very experienced Premier League goalkeeper, who is the penalty king, by the way. We've signed some absolutely brilliant players as well to add on to that. So, Todd Cantwell, we've got lots of quality. So, as I say, Turkish, to be honest with you, I think it's very lazy to come to the assumption that we'll comfortably go down rock bottom. And do you know what? I'm happy with that. I'm pleased that people are writing us off. I'm pleased the national media are writing us off. I'm pleased that we're not getting airtime, genuinely, because it means that there's no pressure on Norwich. It means that we will do damage and we will embarrass teams this season, and teams will be complacent against us. Yeah,
you know what? And I thought you might like that. The underdog, in terms of newly promoted side, it always bodes well. It bodes well for a good few. And you're optimistic it will for Norwich this season. Looking more on Arsenal, Chris, and I've actually loved your insight so far on Norwich, and I think I'm going to love your insight on Arsenal, because like I said earlier, I like to talk to opposition fans about Arsenal's situation right now. We've been in such a decline over the last decades. The last 2 have really kicked on in the pace of that decline. Overall, your thoughts on Arsenal Football Club, where we are at the moment, and then we'll kind of get into the game.
Well, I agree with you, first of all. My observations of Arsenal over the last decade are absolutely the same. And I actually remember doing a fan cam with Robbie years ago when Pep was still at Munich. And I said, you get Pep. You burst the bank on him. Spend all your money on Pep. And you didn't get him. And it's just got worse and worse and worse. I think that was a big moment for Arsenal. Not trying to just do anything to get Pep. Of course, Man City have got more money. I understand that, but I think that was key. Look, I've got respect for Arsenal. I think I really empathise with Arsenal because you've got some. It's not like you've got a lack of quality. That's the thing. That's the thing that would frustrate me as an Arsenal fan. It maybe seems like there's too much player power, actually, if I'm honest. And I think, that's maybe the good thing about Norwich in a sense. We've got a wage structure. We've got a philosophy, a very, very strong philosophy and a way of doing things, both behind the scenes and on the pitch as well. We've invested in our facilities, so it's now state of the art, and we've done things the right way. And I think, if I'm brutally honest, and I must caveat this with, I've got tons of respect for Arsenal, proper football club, great fans, but I think it's become a marketing machine. I think it's become a marketing machine. I think it's become a club that's rested on their laurels and been extremely complacent, a real lack of innovation. And it's only taken disaster, and I say disaster, but let's be honest, Arsenal being in the relegation zone is a disaster, for you guys to say, right, we need to invest in the youth and we need to start thinking about our future rather than taking pot shots on these experienced players that, let's be honest, are probably in it more for their personal brand than playing for the crest. And but yeah, that's my thoughts on Arsenal. I absolutely love Saka. I love him. He's my favourite player in the Euros. I think, he's an absolutely brilliant player, and he's the kind of player that you want all of the Arsenal players to emulate, both in terms of personality, who he is, how he holds himself, and what he does on the pitch. I think there's been players that have hid behind the excuses for way too long. So I really empathise, Turkish, with the anguish and frustration of the Arsenal supporters.
I think you summed it up perfectly, like resting on our laurels, mentioning Pep. I think Pep was one. I think Klopp was another. And I think right now Conte is probably the next. I think this summer, Antonio Conte being available and his track record, if you had an owner with ambition to kick on the footballing side of things, you would have brought him in. But like you said, it's more a commercial beast than anything. And I completely agree. You mentioned before the start of the season for both teams. Go on, Chris, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say as well, I think, and look, I might get abused for this, but I'll take it because I think it's justified. I think also the Super Six thing was a real indicator of that lost soul at Arsenal. And and I'd say the same thing for all the other clubs as well. But at that, on top of the decline, was just such a blow.
Why did you approach that saying that with you might get abuse for it? From which set? Like the Big Six fans, or
because I know that there are a lot of really frustrated long-term Arsenal fans, the legacy fans, so to speak, that love the club, will bleed for the club, they'll do anything. It's their life, and to have their season ticket and their personality, you're basically a number. Any Arsenal fan now, you're a number. They don't care about you.
We're customers, not fans for them.
And that's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And so the reason why I said I'll get some abuse for it is that I think fans will maybe argue that you've not lost your soul. But I do think there is an element of Arsenal where you have. And I think it all stems from moving out of moving out of Highbury into the Emirates. And that was maybe where it started. And I think it's really, really sad. Really, really sad.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of fans, that look at our entry into that, Super League and whatnot, Arsenal fans would admit that we don't deserve to be anywhere near such a league or such a, we don't. When you look on the footballing side of things, we're so far off that. And this start to the season has proven that it would have been a joke, being in that league with the protection of no relegation and the guaranteed income. It would have locked us into something that I fear would have taken Arsenal away from the fans, the legacy fans, the core fans, more than ever. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into the game, Chris. We've both had an interesting start to the season, 19th and 20th place. I think you scoring that solitary goal remains the difference between our league positions, if I'm not mistaken.
You say interesting, Turkish. Let's be frank. Shit. We both had shit starts to the season. The goal would have helped Timu. The goal would have helped Norwich. It was a VAR decision, by the way, that won us that penalty, but we had a goal disallowed as well. And we did play some really positive.
You did. Yeah, you did.
Against Leicester. So, looking at this game, I think think it's going to be cagey, Turkish. I think both teams will be cautious, but I do think that will play into Norwich's favour. If Norwich can shut the door for the first half an hour, I mean, I would be worried if I was an Arsenal fan. If Arsenal get an early goal, I do think it will be tough for Norwich. I do. And what I want to really emphasise is I'm not an idiot, Turkish. I know the quality that Arsenal have got. I know that you've been, that you've had a shocking start to the season. I understand the pressure from the fans, from the club, from Mikel Arteta. And this is a huge game. Like, this isn't just any game. If Arteta loses this and the people behind the scenes at Arsenal have got half a brain cell, he gets kicked out the club door. And there's absolutely no excuse for it. So I do think that pressure will cause problems for both teams. I think Norwich will also understand, but then to maybe back Norwich up a bit and puff my chest out. I'm frustrated we didn't beat you last time in the Premier League. Of course, at the Emirates last time, 4-0 loss, very, very comfortable. But Norwich lost their way by then. It was the Premier League restart with no fans, etc. But at home, it took a dodgy VAR decision, and I remember Aubameyang celebrated like he won the FA Cup when he equalised with a penalty decision against Norwich. So you know what? Yeah, I think Norwich can do some damage against Arsenal, and as I say, I'm really excited to see what happens.
Yeah, is that a bit of chip on the shoulder of maybe Norwich fans going into this game? Maybe a little revenge,
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I hold a grudge, Turkish, in football, and I'm annoyed. And I remember the penalty got called back because Tim Krul was off his line. Because first of all, it wasn't a penalty. Second of all, Tim Krul then
got retaken.
He saved the penalty against Aubameyang. Norwich fans are celebrating, and of course, that it gets pulled back because you're a bigger football club, mate. I'm furious about it to this day still, and I hope we get revenge. I really do.
Well, 2 years later, mate, we're here moaning about refereeing and VAR as well. So all that talk about bigger football club, we're facing them same battles as well, week in, week out. I look at the game, and I'm finding myself completely agreeing with you. I think Norwich can go in with very little pressure on their shoulders. I know, the position you're in is not ideal, and even a solitary point would be a massive step in the right direction. But I also feel like the pressure's not so much on Norwich in this game as it is Arsenal Football Club. From all angles, you mentioned them: fans, media, manager, director of football, board, ownership. Everyone's under pressure right now. And I worry that will go into Norwich's favour. But at the same time, with Gabriel returning, Ben White returning, Partey returning, those are some big names.
It could do one of two things, Turkish, though, content, right? And it's the same for Norwich, right? I'm saying I'm more confident because we've got our new boys coming in. But actually, let's also think about this. For both sides, this is now going to be pretty much, and it's the same for Norwich, our team, how we want to set up the season. We've had players missing with injuries, with COVID, etc. So, look, I think that it will go either way. You'll either blend straight away and you'll be like, wow, this is our team, or it could be a car crash. And you might be thinking, this team are going to take 4 or 5 games to gel. And that could happen for Norwich or Arsenal. So that's why this game is going to be such a fascinating one to watch for both Arsenal, Norwich, and the neutrals.
Oh, Arsenal fans don't want to hear 4 or 5 games anymore. We've been hearing must-wins in 4 or 5 games for 2 years now. And before I go into prediction, I just want to ask you, from your perspective, what's the key battle of the day? And I do this on my channel, and I pick out the player that I'm most looking out for in the opposition, and then who's defending them or who's up against them.
I think that's really hard, Turkish, because I think there's battles all over the park that could change the game very, very quickly. I think the key one, and I'm honest, I don't know who he's going to come up against, but I will assume that Matthias Norman, our new signing, will start. He's a bit of a physical lad. He's a bit of a bully.
What position?
And that will be a key one. He's going to play in that central defensive midfield role. Now, I think if he's able to cut whoever he's up against down, I think that's where we could do damage. I think, but then also the wide areas. Saka out wide scares me big time. It's where Norwich have been, and I feel like I shouldn't be saying this as if Mikel Arteta's listening. But look, where Norwich have struggled in our opening games. The ball goes out wide. It gets carried down the wing. It gets crossed in for the cutback or the rebound. And that's where we are completely missing, because the way that Norwich play, Turkish, if you don't know, is we really like to get our wing backs forward. Either Brandon Williams, who we brought in on loan from Manchester United, Max Aarons the other side, or Dimitri Giannoulis on that side, bombing forwards. But what that means is that we're really exposed at the back. Arsenal have got the pace to cause us serious damage in those positions. So I think the key battles will probably be out wide, realistically.
Yeah. Mikel, did you get all that? Yeah. Get us some bloody points then, mate. Yeah.
Turkish, I've got to be honest, based on what I've seen after the matches, I don't think Mikel's listening.
He might need to, based on what we've seen anyway. So yeah. Listen, Chris, let's end with a prediction now. Shall I start, or do you want to lead?
Look, I said it in our Oppo preview, and go and watch it. Robbie was on; it was great value. I'll say the same thing. My head, I'll say my head and my heart, Turkish. My head says the quality is too much for Norwich, and it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal. But Norwich will put up a valiant effort, will play well, will control the games in spells, and it will be cagey. But my heart, Turkish, says this might be one of the shocks of the season, and I think Norwich could potentially go and win the game 2 or 3-1. Who knows? Maybe I need my noggin tested. Maybe I've lost the plot. But look, Turkish, this is what happens when you're at the bottom of the league. You start to lose your head a little bit, as you Arsenal fans would have experienced.
Yeah, I've been experiencing that over the last couple of weeks. I did book a doctor's appointment, but I think, Chris, you've diagnosed me well, so I think I'll cancel that. It's bottom of the league that's doing it to me. When I go with my head, I say 2-1 tough fought victory. I think Norwich will be up for it. But if I go with my heart, that's when I lose it a little bit, and I say Gabriel, Ben White's back, Partey and Lokonga start together. Odegaard comes in. It's going to go smoothly, and I'm going to go over 3-1.
No way.
That's as positive as I can get. I don't know if you was expecting 4s or 5s, but that's not happening over here.
No, mate. Look. We saw Arsenal beat us 4-0 comfortably last time. You've still got most of those players, and so look, it'll be a tough game. And look, I just wanted to say, whilst I've really enjoyed it. Thanks so much for inviting me on. Massive respect to AFTV, particularly Robbie, who helped talk Norwich City and its ascendancy as a fan channel. And good luck to Arsenal this season, apart from against Norwich. And by the way, if we don't win this one, I will say with my chest that we'll beat you at Carrow Road this season. Revenge for that one.
We'll be talking to you again then, Chris. And it's a pleasure to have you on. Much more success for your channel, Talk Norwich City. The link is going to be in the description. And like you said, you had an Oppo's View video with Robbie. So after this box to box, people go over there and check that out on Talk Norwich City with Chris and Robbie. Any last thoughts before we leave it, Chris?
Well, I was just going to say, Robbie has made his mind up on Mikel Arteta on our channel, on our opposition preview. He has decided if Arsenal lose, what happens to Mikel Arteta? Robbie says it. So go and check it out.
Go and clip him now, people. Go and clip him now so he doesn't forget. Chris, love as always for coming on. We'll definitely talk to you again in the near future. To be honest, I want you to jump on my channel too, so we might need to talk about that, but we'll discuss that offline. Love as always, people. Take care. Make sure you guys hit the like button.